Well, thank you. Good afternoon, Dr. Arant, for taking the time to sit down with us. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good to have you. Good to have you. So now, as of July 1st, you have been serving as the Provost and Vice President for Academic Student Affairs here at GGC. But before coming here, you served as the interim Chief Academic Officer at both York College of Pennsylvania and is it Mercedor?
Misericordia.
Misericordia.
Heart of mercy.
Heart of mercy.
In Latin.
That makes it easier to remember.
Yeah, exactly. But in addition to that, you were also the president of Friends University. So clearly you've been doing this for a while. You've been doing a lot of this. But I know students are asking themselves the question, who exactly is Dr. T.J. Arant?
Well, that's an excellent question. I've been doing higher education for 40 years, which means you can tell I started when I was about 10. But I'm an English professor. I did 17 years as a faculty member, and that's how I got into the academic administration part of it. Before I was an English professor, I was a dean of students. And so I've had a career both in academic affairs and in student affairs. And that's how I come here. I actually, when I saw the description of the position, I said, this is a unique opportunity to do two things that I think are really important. And it's a unique opportunity.
Back in 2013, you had spoke at the Wichita Business Journal's Outlook Breakfast. And while speaking, you had mentioned, I know one of the comments you had made was that the era of the buffet model was over. And I was trying to figure out exactly what is the buffet model. I guess were you referring to institutions and.
Well, gee, that was a long time. And what I think I was probably referring to, and this is held up as a comment that really has something to do with GGC today, is that institutions that try to be all things to all people probably are going to have a difficult time being successful. Because if you think of places you may know that have 50, 60 majors available, well, if they're a large research university, they may be able to do that. UGA can probably do that. But a state college wants to find the things it can be really good at. In other words, you don't want to have a whole buffet that you've laid out. Rather, you want to do, and as we do here, 15 to 20 things really well and concentrate your resources on that. And that's what GGC tries to do. That's what I was referring to there. In a lot of ways, higher education is under a lot of stress. People want to know, is it worth the money that you pay? People want to know, am I going to be able to get a return on my investment? People want to know, is the quality going to be high? And you know from listening in the media, the answer to that for a lot of people is, well, maybe not. And part of the reason is this buffet, institutions spreading themselves too thin. That's what I was talking about. It's a good reason to be here.
Okay. And do you kind of believe that with that kind of helps, or I should say attribute to kind of like higher college costs, and I guess maybe trying to move away from that in a sense can lower costs for students?
Certainly it's true at GGC. This is the lowest per credit tuition in the entire university system of Georgia. And it's certainly a lower price point than any of the out-of-state offerings you'd have or any of the private offerings. Look, there's a place that's right for everybody, and for some people that place is going to be at a higher price point. What we really want to say here is that we are going to try to have the low price point, high quality, and good access, so that people who want to go to college and get a good college education can do it at an affordable price. If you think about it, GGC education, if you don't live on campus, that changes things obviously, but if you don't live on campus and you graduate in 4 years, it's going to run you about $24,000 tuition fees. You can buy a Camry, a brand new Camry for that right now, but the value of that Camry is going to go down every minute you have it, whereas the value of your degree goes up every minute that you have it.
Absolutely. Now, I know recently GGC has seen some vacancies pop up, like the Office of Student Involvement, Office of Student Affairs. So I guess we wanted to know, do you have a plan of action in place to kind of help fill those vacancies? And so what is that?
Absolutely. And let me say first that the people, especially shout out to Dr. Lumpkin, who created one of those vacancies by taking a promotion, really, inside the university system. So props to her. Yeah, we are searching right now. We have 3 director positions that we're recruiting for right now. We'll do. I have every expectation that our pool will be pretty rich. People want to come to GGC, and we also will be looking for various other leadership spots in student affairs, so that we really want to grow that area. One of the things that's important to me as someone who came out of student affairs originally is that we make sure that student affairs and academic affairs blanket the students seamlessly. So that, I mean, students don't really show up and say, well, this is academic affairs. And this is yeah. Students show up and say, this is GGC, and how is GGC serving me? So I'm looking for a sense of collaboration. That's who I'm looking for in those positions. Somebody who's equipped and has a history of collaborating with academic affairs in order to make the student experience a rich one.
Absolutely. And with that, I know, so I guess I would ask, will you be more of like a visible provost, or will you be more behind the scenes handling just like the administrative stuff?
That's an outstanding question, because the answer is, I think, is not obvious. I will be visible. You'll see me out walking around campus. You'll see me at events. I don't live very far, so you'll probably see me up here at night too on occasion. But I find that the best administrators are the ones that you don't really see the work. You won't see what I do, probably, because a lot of what I do is empower others to do the right thing. But you will see me around. I will be really disappointed if at the end of the year students say, well, I've never seen the guy. You will have, I hope you'll say you've seen me all over the place.
And I know you've been here for, since July 1st,
yep.
So you've been here for a little bit. Is there anything particular about GGC that you've learned since you've been here that you just enjoy, or anything you're excited about for the upcoming semester?
Yeah, I am, and I really thought this was true. It's one of the reasons I was interested in coming here, but it turns out, happily, to be absolutely true. The first question in every meeting among staff, among faculty, among leadership is, how does that affect the students? And that's the way the question should be framed. If we don't exist really as an institution unless students want to be here and are being served by getting the best education and the best experience they can. And so it's incumbent on people when we sit around tables like this conference room to say, well, here's a new policy. This is something that's coming from Atlanta, or this is something we think we need to do. What everybody does say. So how's that going to affect the students?
Right.
And that turns out to be a really good thing. That's what I've been happiest about in the first little bit here.
Okay, so in speaking about the role of the provost and what you will be doing on campus, can you explain the role of the provost to a student who maybe doesn't know what that position entails?
It's an odd title, isn't it?
It's very long.
Yes.
Well, the provost part also,
right.
Unless you know a little bit of the history, you don't. And this is not my role, but if you've ever been to Charleston in the old port, there's a place called the Provost Dungeon, and I actually have a Christmas ornament that says Provost Dungeon. But the provost was the jailer.
Oh.
And that's one meaning of it. The other, and there are still provost marshals in some military branches who they run the stockade. But the provost in medieval universities turns out to be the chief learning officer, and that's what it is here. If you think about what's underneath my umbrella, it's basically academic affairs and student affairs. Both places that have student learning objectives, both places that do assessment of student learning, and both places that have a lot to do with the way students experience the college. And so that's my job. My job is to put resources and plans together so that the people who do those things can do it well.
Absolutely. So you're not a jailer. You're
I'm not a jailer. In fact, if you think of it, I've opened up the bars. Everybody can go.
So we can learn more.
That's right.
Okay, so as a part of the leadership of GGC moving forward, what are some of the things that you'd like to see, like vision moving forward in the institution?
Well, the vision and the mission are really already set out, and they're solid ones. They're approved, set by the Board of Regents, and GGC is different from any other school in the system, but it's also in the Carnegie classification of colleges and universities. It's the only one in its classification nationally. It's a large enough size with an access mission that's a public, that has a liberal arts base, that has all those things. It's the only one of its kind. So the mission and vision is not changing. But in the first 5 years, the job was to stand up a college here in the middle of what used to be trees. The second 5 years, the vision was to grow rapidly, to get big enough so it could actually do its work. That's pretty much accomplished now, and so the job of the next 5 years, and there's a strategic plan process underway that will explore ways to make that growth and that mission sustainable over time. Because as you grow rapidly, I don't know when you got here, but it's probably bigger than when you got here.
Yeah. 4 more buildings.
Yes, there you go. And that's not sustainable. What is sustainable is to do the infill so that you get the depth of your program so that everybody's not as rushed as they are. So it's going to be exciting. But it's always going to be student focused. It's always going to be about having the very best faculty available. Stosh, the president, likes to talk about for 40 faculty positions this year. I think 40 positions, 17,000 applications.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness.
This is the best of the best.
Yeah, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
So that's because the word is getting out.
Mm-hmm.
That this is a student-focused place where we give people resources to teach and get out of their way.
Right, and I'm sure for faculty and staff, it's also appealing in the same way that students like the location and the affordability and closeness to home. I mean, I'm sure that appeals to professors as well.
Certainly.
That's incredible. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with Grizzly News Network. We appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy schedule. But we want to look forward to working with you in the future and seeing you at those events.
It's been my very great pleasure to meet you, and thank you.
Thank you so
very
much.
much.